The first tactic I want you to kind of develop an antenna for, an antenna system, is this often used Democrat propaganda tool. It's called an appeal to authority. The appeal to authority is when you're trying to make a point that is either factually deficient or is inaccurate. You state that some authority figure is vouching for you. Joe Biden did this the other day. In my newsletter, you read this, or he did this, in fact, about taxes and his Joe Biden tax plan. Here's a piece by Beckett Adams in the Washington Examiner. Joe Biden talks to dead people. This story is hilarious. I love this story in my newsletter today. So Biden's trying to push this Biden economic plan where he spends us into an abyss and taxes the rich, even though the rich will pay less, not more, like I just showed you the data on. So Biden knows it's not going to work, so he appeals to authority. How did he do that? Here's the quote. Biden added from the Examiner. He said, talking about his plan, and by the way, you saw the last 5 Fed, he's talking about the Fed presidents, coming out and saying, what'd they say? They said Biden's plan is going to grow the economy. So just to be clear, Biden appeals to authority. The authority he's citing is these Federal Reserve chairmen, who I wouldn't trust as far as I can throw them, but they're supposed to be experts on the economy. And he's saying, guys, ladies, gents, the last 5 support my plan. Well, when you notice that's an appeal to authority, you should right away call that out. If he can defend it, he should be able to defend it himself. Well, what was the problem with Joe Biden's appeal to authority here? 2 of those guys are dead. So Joe Biden's either doing like a Sixth Sense Bruce Willis thinking, I talk to dead people. What is it? I see dead people was actually the line. I think Haley Joe Osment, wasn't that the actor? I may have gotten one right finally. I always get this stuff wrong. They're not here. From the Examiner, former Fed Chairman William Miller and Paul Volcker are dead. So I'm pretty sure they're not endorsing Joe Biden's plan. Guy brought up a funny point before the show. Next thing Joe Biden's going to be like, I'm endorsed by Washington, Hamilton, Abraham Lincoln, Samuel Chase, John D. Rockefeller. What was it? Carnegie. He's going to get endorsements from all these dead people. So he says 5 Fed chairmen endorsed him. 2 are dead. Well, that leaves 3 more. 2 of which, Greenspan and Bernanke, have been relatively silent on Biden's pricey infrastructure and jobs proposals. They certainly haven't claimed the plan would, quote, grow the economy. Folks, these appeals to authority are typically nonsense, just like this one. When you sense it, always go back and look at who the authority figure they're appealing to you. Oh, look, these Fed chairmen, 2 of them are dead. Always go back and research it. When liberals say it, you'll find that it's typically bunk. And I'm thinking right now, gosh, this show's going a little long, sorry. But I'm thinking right now, what happened last week? We talked about the infamous trickle-down economics myth. There's no such thing as trickle-down economics. It doesn't exist. And remember the article? They appealed to authority. What was it? Penn University talked about the trickle-down economics. This was a show last week. And then when you click on the footnote, the article from Penn says, yeah, this really isn't a theory. When they appeal to authority, go check the authority. You'll find out it's almost always BS. What's tactic number 2? I'm going to play a quick video. We'll wrap. Here is Joe Biden. This is what's called an appeal to emotion. Learn to sense it, learn to pick it out, and call them out. That's an appeal to authority. It doesn't exist. And actually what you're doing now is an appeal to emotion. You're not basing anything on facts. Here's Joe Biden trying to claim that paying people more not to work won't cause people not to work. And notice how he produces no data, but just appeals to your emotion and authority. The American people want to work. They may, but 8 million aren't. Check this out.
It's easy to say the line has been, because of the generous unemployment benefits, that it's a major factor in labor shortages. Americans want to work. Americans want to work. As my dad used to say, a job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity, your place in the community.
Notice he produces no data on that whatsoever to refute the common sense assertion that the government paying people more to not work will cause people not to work. He produces no data. He just tells this story he's told 1,000 times about his dad. And about, oh, yeah, people want to work. Yeah, people do want to work. And a lot of people sadly don't want to work too. That's why a lot of people aren't working, because they're being paid more not to work, and some don't want to work. All right, folks, thanks again for tuning in. It's been a really busy week. Of course, we had a lot going on this week, and I appreciate your patience with everything going on in the show. Again, 2 simple requests. Please set your DVR now. I announced my new show on the Fox News channel. starting Saturday, June 5th at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Finally, my own show. I don't know what's going to happen there. They have a teleprompter. I don't know how useful it'll be, but it should be fun. Set your DVRs now, June 5th, if you can.